Hey, tune into Old Patrol HQ podcast as we just completed a podcast discussing chapter 3 of my book, Invaded. I just want to give a great shout out to Gil Maza, otherwise known as the sarcastic coffee drinker, or better yet, known amongst his haters as the skinny trinket salesman.
Greetings and welcome to the Old Patrol HQ podcast. I'm your host, Gil Maza, retired Class 313 out of San Diego sector. Today, me and JJ tackled Chapter 3 of his book, Invaded, the intentional destruction of the American immigration system. JJ comes from Class 339, retired out of the NEWTON-AZRAK station at San Diego sector. He is calling out this administration and the treasonous meat puppet heads of DHS CBP for their criminal complicity in this all-time historic border crisis. The title of this chapter, Trump versus All Presidents. Come and take a listen. Good morning, JJ, and welcome back to the Old Patrol HQ podcast.
Thanks for having me back. There's so much to discuss, and I'm looking forward to talking about chapter 3.
Likewise. So as you know, we've been taking our Fridays and using it to go through and discuss every chapter of your book and what your intent and everything. But I got a little cheese myth for you before we get started. First of all right. Yesterday I went to your old stomping grounds, Marietta Station, and I saw the bunch of the guys there. They all send their regards. And
great.
And they're pretty excited that we're collaborating on this, on this situation. And all kidding aside and stuff, I'll tell you what, though, the tension is there from the agents. Yeah. You can see it on their faces. I had conversations with a lot of people that I'm sure you know as well personally. One of my buddies back from El Cajon is the new PAC there. He came, he worked in El Cajon, went to work in Arizona, and then finally got chosen for PAC here in Marietta. And he's a good dude. So we'll see what happens there with him. But the tension is tight. They see what's going on. They know the reality of it. They're not hiding it from anybody. Right. And what's worse is the tension between them and the upper management, the leadership in DHS CBP, that that's such a disconnect there from what they see is happening right there before their faces. Right. Yeah. Nobody's going to come to them, JJ, and say, oh, the border is secure, the border is closed, with a straight face. Right. So, yeah, it's
my heart goes out to those agents and the managers as well, like the PAC, which DPAC, which I was, and because there's only so much you can do. You can only slow roll so much, right? Yes. And try to curb as much of the insanity as you can. And it's just, they're in just a terrible situation, right? And then you get, you might talk about this later, Bovino getting reinstated. Yeah. But look at that chilling effect that I'm going to crucify and remove somebody that has Bovino's title as chief, like he's high up on the ranks, has incredible amount of authority and power, and they strip him of that overnight. So what does that tell you about an average agent, the agent that's just processing and refuses to do it? They'll squash them, right? Yeah. So there becomes almost a mental warfare, if you will, that, hey, you're going to shut up and do what we want, or I'm going to remove you, insubordination clause, and you're out, and you're 6, 7, 8, 9 years away from retirement, and you're thinking, oh my God, I can't. I got to pay my mortgage, my kids in school, and on and on and on, right? Yes. So that's how they win this game. And people ask me, Gil, well, why don't the agents not do what they just refuse? And it's just more complicated than that. You're being directed to do something you know is illegal, and you're trying your best, but everyone falls in a lockstep. And the greatest strength of the Border Patrol, and I said this even before this traitor Biden got in office in Mayorkas, the greatest trait of the Border Patrol is also their greatest enemy from within. And that is our ability to do incredible feats of success with absolutely nothing, in the face of utter adversity, no funding, fighting with our own people. We're still successful. And it's because of the men and women wearing the uniform. Yeah. So, and I say that is also a curse for us, because we're told you're going to do this, and it's chaotic, and we find a way to make it not so chaotic and work. And I truly believe that they the powers to be, really rely on that. They rely on that characteristic.
Absolutely. Yes, they absolutely do. And you mentioned Bovino, but the news with that is, and for people that maybe haven't heard before what happened, he went and testified before the judiciary hearings, right? Told the absolute truth the first time and got reprimanded by Chief Ortiz the first time, right? This last time he did it, about a month or two ago, he went in there and again told them the reality of what's going on there on the southern border. And the moment he walked out of that meeting, they stripped him of the El Central Command. They said, we want you to go pack your crap, don't talk to anybody, and move your shit to DC, because you're gonna be working a hidden cubicle there. We're gonna keep you there until you retire, whenever that might be. Yep. So we fought back. He fought back. I got wind of it, blasted it out on my social media, and it was everywhere. And so they were scrambling. And now I opened up my social media page this morning, my Facebook page, and guess what? There's a picture of freaking Chief Bovino back in the saddle, in charge of El Centro sector. What do you think?
Well, the first thing that pops to my mind is, think of the waste of manpower, exhaustion, mental exhaustion, emotion that Bovino had to have used, as well as all the upper level people, to squash him. And all that wasted when it should be directed on, and I'm for Bovino. I think what he did was correct and honorable, but we're now removing all that energy to secure the border onto traitorous and treasonous things. Think of this. It would be different if Bovino was going, look, let's say we're during the Trump years, and we had organizational alignment, which is Google, Facebook, Zillow, whatever company that's successful, you have to have organizational alignment, meaning that we're all on the same page and we're going forward. I can understand if during Trump's era, he goes and he starts making lobbying allegations that are not true and on. But he's not. He's going against the organizational alignment that's trying to destroy America. And he's saying, whoa, hold on a second. This is the reality. This is what's going on down here. And he gets reprimanded for speaking the truth. That shows you how intellectually dishonest this government is. And I stand by it, and I will not back down. Our government is the levels of corruption and treason is so deep that I don't know if we can ever come back from it. You have the former president of the United States having to take a mugshot in Fulton County, Georgia. So we have a county prosecutor prosecuting the highest level of federal government. The Democrats have opened a Pandora's box, and it's never going to be closed. This is going to be, the ripple effects of this is going to be immense. And my point being is how much our government is corrupt. And they're sending a message to people. Like, I consider myself a MAGA guy. I'm all in Trump. You just watched the Republican primary debate outside of Ramaswamy. Are you going to follow any of those people? Are you going to follow that stiff pencil Pence, who's a coward?
And he's talking about the Perry Como of politics.
God, I got to a point where I told my wife, turn it off. I'm not watching. I'm not watching another second because I'm going to lose my mind. But when you talk about that, you talk about what's happening in Marietta. They're not the outlier. This is the angst that you felt is throughout the Border Patrol. And my heart goes out to them. It really does, because I remember my final year in the Border Patrol under Joe Biden and just being dismayed and frustrated and angry, and then pulling myself back, because I believe I'm a critical thinker, and think, okay, JJ, what is this going to look like in a year? What is it going to look like in 2 years? And I said, well, sometimes some of the things that I came up with, I was like, wow, that's so far out there, but everything points to that. There's no way he could do that. And hell yeah, it was. Absolutely, they did it. If I would have told you, Gil, back in when Trump had the election stolen, and I'm not gonna backtrack on that statement either.
Okay.
When he got the election stolen, if I told you, hey, Biden within first 30 months will have arrested and released up to 7 million people, not counting getaways.
Yes.
That would have been hard to stomach, right?
Oh yeah.
We would have fought each other on that. Like, wait a minute, dude, that's really dramatic. I don't. That's over the top.
But JJ,
you jumped the shark.
I'm going to have to stop you here because now you're getting into the meat and potatoes of what I want to talk about today, right?
Okay.
But I wish you would, kind of back off of that stuff because that's not as important, okay? It's not as important as being able to have a male Border Patrol agent go to the management at DHS CBP and request time to have his chest breast, lactation time, to pump breast milk isn't that more important than the enforcement of the border?
I saw that yesterday.
I know.
Chest feeding month, right?
Yes, chest feeding.
But here's the thing. I mean, when you look at it, it's so laughable, right? And
it is.
But at the same time, when you really look, man, this is 1984 on steroids, where 2 and 2 does not equal 4. And I'm going to make you believe it equals 5. And I'm going to do everything I can. So if I can convince you that Border Patrol agent Jose Gonzalez, that is,
he's going to be pissed at you, by the way, because we got about 3,000 of them in the border.
That's why I chose Jose. Or pick out JJ Carroll.
Everybody, JJ Carroll.
JJ Carroll at 6'3", 220 pounds. And
good luck with that.
He can lactate, right? He can lactate. But you're going to believe that JJ can lactate. In fact, JJ has he needs tampons in the male bathroom, and then JJ can get pregnant and give birth, right? You have to
pay to see that.
Yes. I mean, but look at what they're making you believe.
Yes.
So if you can believe that, then you can believe that releasing illegal aliens into our community is good for America. You see, it's not a big jump when you believe absolute insanity to say, well, given illegal aliens, why can't we just release it? Why can't they all be on asylum? Why can't they be all paroled? We're staying within Title VIII. We're paroling. We have containment or detainment of them.
Yes.
And you're like, okay, so it's sick. We live in a very sick world. I think we're morally bankrupt as a nation and as a society. And I think that I don't know if it's coming to a head yet because I don't know if America has really awakened to what is happening to them. I really don't believe we hit that.
I think of when you're watching Netflix and all of a sudden that screen comes on. It says, "Are you still watching?" And I'm thinking to myself, well, if I was asleep, how would I even answer that, right? And I think sometimes I think of America that way. But let's get down to some business, okay? Because I want you to save some of your energy for this next chapter, which you have decided to dedicate to Trump. And chapter 3 is called Trump versus All Presidents. So let me read the first paragraph to set the tone, and then we'll begin the discussion. It says, "For the first 20 years of my Border Patrol career, we were always losing. Whatever plan was in vogue to secure the border was a political ploy for more votes and wealth. Even as a new Border Patrol agent in my 20s, nothing ever made sense. No presidential administration's plan added up. 2 + 2 never equaled 4. What was so frustrating was the plan never went past step 1. The true plan was that there was never any depth or desire to truly secure the border." That's how you start your chapter called Trump versus All Presidents. So let's tell me about that.
Okay. The reason why I wanted to do that chapter and put Trump out there, because I believe, and you can believe whatever you want about Donald Trump, but Donald Trump was the greatest border president in my career, period. And I started under Clinton because I wanted my reader to understand, especially somebody that's looking from the outside and not down in the weeds, being a Border Patrol agent, what that looked like for the other presidents, right? You had Operation Gatekeeper, which was a roaring success, stage 1, right? You had San Diego sector in Imperial Beach in 6 miles. they were averaging chew. They call it chew back then. So they were averaging, 3,000-4,000 arrests every 24 hours, dude. It was just nonstop. But all of those old timers said, yeah, bro, we lost about 3-4 times that every day. It was insane. And to show, okay, gatekeeper comes in, we pour money and resources, fencing, technology, agents, and it shut down to the point. There were a point in my career at Imperial Beach where if you had 10, 15 entries, not getaways or arrests, just entries, and then TBS, that was a big deal. Like, what are you doing? Are you being high vis? Are you really, there's questions.
Yeah.
But then I remember, your first 3 years in the patrol guild, the first year is field training, going to sector and doing the test.
Post academy.
Post academy.
Trying to keep your job.
Yes. And for us white guys that never spoke Spanish before, it was a very, very difficult time. If you're not a non-native speaker, it's very hard to have your whole life hinge on a 6 and 10 about the jurat and all that other crap, right?
Yes.
That's a topic for later, but just trying to get through that first year and then throwing you out in the woods, and then you are literally throwing you out in the woods, and then you making your bones and trying to navigate the system. So for the first 3 years, it was so fast and it was exhilarating and fun, and your life is new, right? Everything that's new is very powerful.
Yep.
But after that 3 years, things start to slow down, right? You know how to process, you know how to do annual leave requests, you know how to talk to supervisors, all the game, right?
Yeah.
You get to look and you're like, okay, I remember being in Spooner's Mesa. It's a flat mesa about 2 miles from the Pacific Ocean. And it used to be wild. They just pour over Spooner's Mesa, play soccer, and then go down the fingers and draws and then pour into the Tijuana River. Yeah. We had that shut down. There were times on midnights that we would have 8 Spooners units where we used to have 1 or 2 that would control it. It had 8. And the reason why is because we kept getting agents into our station. We had like 500 agents. And what was supposed to happen was once we had the border locked down, we were supposed to move north into National City, San Diego, airport, transportation check, interior patrol, all of that. But our powers to be never wanted that.
So you're saying,
they never allowed us.
Just to clarify, you're saying that the initial plan was to control the influx, and then step 2 would be to head into the interior and begin to take the illegals out of the interior of the communities and things like that. But that never materialized. No, there were several steps to Operation Gatekeeper, and it never came out of phase 1. Why? Why is that? And as an agent, and that's how I write in the book, as an agent, that's when I really wish that I could have stayed in that 3-year mark where I was so happy and I was just gung-ho instead of becoming in. I don't want to use this word as if I became, like highly intellectual, but I became enlightened within what the hell's going on. Yeah. And you just start to piece it together and you go, oh no, please don't tell me this is my government's doing this, right? And then as your career progresses and you go through it and you see the people rise up to certain positions with your organization, and you're like, that guy's just a politician. He's never even been out in the field. How in the hell did he become an A chief and he's over, prosecutions, or he's over, technology and manpower resources? How in the hell is that guy making a decision? And you see the totality of George Bush. And then we talk about that in this chapter. You had 9/11. You remember 9/11? Everybody in the Border Patrol thought, number one, dear God, this is horrible. I can't believe this is happening. But from a professional stance, we were like, oh my God, the whole game is going to change. No one in America is going to stand for illegal immigration. We're going to go in and we're going to eradicate America, and we're going to start finalizing Operation Gatekeeper and finalizing, the immigration system is going to get changed. And lo and behold, Gil, not one damn thing changed. Let me read that. It says here on page 38, it says, agents fought with everything they had during Gatekeeper because they were promised that once they controlled the border, they would be turned loose into the interior. Then they would arrest and deport every last illegal alien. And then you end that paragraph by saying that was a lie.
It was all a lie, and they knew it was a lie. They knew it. Then after 9/11, we all thought, okay, they're gonna rapidly change. And all that happened was they created another Department of Homeland Security.
Right.
And they layered it. And then they broke us apart for ICE. And then everything was convoluted. And we were like, hold on a second. This makes no sense. You just reorganized the Border Patrol and ERO, and you just reorganized INS, and it's not working. Why would you do this? What? It made no sense until you start to realize that everything doesn't make sense because it's on purpose.
Well, from the beginning, if you go back to the history, throughout the history of the patrol, and you read the Department of Justice, the guys that were in charge of, I forgot the name right now, but they write over and over and over again that the Border Patrol will lose its effectiveness if it gets melded into or combined with any other agency, that it has to be a standalone agency. And that's actually written throughout the history of the patrol. And you're saying 9/11 hits, and that's exactly what we ended up doing. And yep. I think that history is confirming the reality of the truth of that.
It is. And it was, you know, when something bad happens, like 9/11, something great can come out of bad, right? That's just how life in the world works. But it also, bad can lead to worse. And that's what happened under DHS. We took the Patriot Act, which is grossly unconstitutional. I was for the Patriot Act because I was ignorant. I will just be honest. I was ignorant, and I didn't know the totality of it. And I did not critically think past step 1 or 2 and look at, wait a minute, you're going to have a FISA court, meaning a court where nobody knows about, it's in secret, and federal agents go to very specific judges and ask for warrants, and they don't even really need to really tell them the truth about it, and 99% of it is pencil whipped and okay. Wait a minute, this is what our founding fathers fought against. This is the KGB in America. What are we doing? So we have the Patriot Act and we have DHS, and nothing made sense. And we became less efficient in the Border Patrol because of it. They took away our boat patrol. I mean, why would you do that? Why would you take away boat patrol in the United States Border Patrol? I was at a station in Imperial Beach that had a beach. We were in Imperial Beach. We had ports of entry, and ports all the way up and down the coastline that we were charged with protecting, but you didn't give me any water assets. That made no sense. Yeah. Everything. And it was frustrating as agents because even though a lot of times management and very higher ups would talk to us like we were idiots back then. It was a different world back then where they just told you to just shut up and just go do it. And we got to the point, we were kind of new generation, like, no, I'm not going to shut up. I'm going to do my job. But I need you to explain to me what the hell I'm doing out there. There's 10 other people, and I just drove early in because I worked swing shift. I had to go to Home Depot. I saw 100 illegal aliens, and you're telling me I got to guard this fence with 8 other people, and I can tell you where there's 100 illegal aliens, and you won't let me go get them?
We all knew where they were.
Yes.
Every single one of us could have grabbed a bus, driven into El Cajon, driven into Imperial Beach, Chula Vista. We knew exactly where they were. We could have filled those buses 5-10 times a day. Yep. Let me read this, what you say right here. You said, during this time, my colleagues and I would be stacked on top of each other along the border. Maybe 1 or 2 individuals would try and cross the border. But thousands and thousands of illegal aliens freely moved about our cities with no fear of ever running into one of us. I look back on this moment of my career with sadness because this is when I knew the greatest enemy I faced was not the felon that I would have to fight into submission in the dark canyons of the border, but the politicians that used and manipulated both law enforcement officials and illegal aliens as pawns to enrich themselves with power.
Yes, I agree I absolutely stand by that. And the last part of that needs to be discussed too, because especially from our perspective as being Border Patrol agents, like I had a burning hatred of illegal aliens. The ones that I caught, they were all rapists and murderers, just like Trump said. And I just had a burning It drove me to arrest everyone, and I didn't care. I just wanted to arrest them, put them in jail, or get them back to wherever they went.
Yeah.
But when you look at it from their perspective, when you look at it from an illegal alien, if you are intellectually honest, you have to say they're pawns too, right? And let's look at present day. Just look right now. Major Democrat governors, city council, even Democratic congressmen and senators are demanding that Biden give all the asylees, parolees, which are in the millions, worker authorization documents, because they're saying they have an alternative motive than what the moral decision should be. You, the federal government, has welcomed millions of people into your country, and then you won't give them a work authorization document. Think about that for a second and ask the simple question, why? Why would you bring millions of people in and not allow them to work legally? Well, because you want a slave class of labor, black market labor. That's it. It's that cut and dry and simple. And what our government has allowed to, how we've gone from Clinton and Bush, which kind of straddle the fence and just, I don't want to really deal with it. And let's just BS and massage this, to, oh my God, there's Obama. What's prosecutorial discretion? I never even heard of that until Obama came in. What do you mean I can't deport anybody that's in America that's already, they're already seen the judge and ordered deported? Yeah. And I find them, I have to release them. So everyone was released in the interior. No one could be arrested. To DACA, to now we're going to do catch and release under Biden. And now it's a free-for-all. So we didn't get here overnight, Gil. This has been a slow roll, and I believe that the Democrats and the Republicans have kind of slow roll because they always kind of gauge the wind, like, okay, are they really going to take this? And now they're like, screw it. We're going balls to wall, global reset. We're going. This is what's happening. Well, and you can call me whatever. Yeah.
Well, yeah, no, this is what you say right here. You said on the same page, I learned from continuous disappointment that there's no real difference between a Democrat and a Republican. They just maneuver on different levels of lying and deceiving American citizens. So as far as you're concerned, you're not, we aren't going to be able to find relief from either side at this point.
No, it is a uniparty. I absolutely believe that 100% when it comes to immigration. Think of this, just even if you're a civilian, not a Border Patrol agent watching this, and if you are a Border Patrol agent, just think of this. Ask yourself why nothing has changed in your whole career, be a 20-year career. Nothing's changed. Take out Trump, right? Get rid of Trump, and just say, how has nothing changed? It just gets worse and worse and worse. Let me ask you even a further question. After 9/11, which the majority of them were visa overstays that flew their planes into the Pentagon and Twin Towers, how do we not have a biometric exit system? How? I can take Amazon Prime and get online right now and order a pair of socks, a computer, and hell, I can even probably a refrigerator, and it's going to be on my door tomorrow.
Yes. But
you can't track people that come into our country and leave. So think about this. You have millions annually. They say it's about 600 to 1 million annually visa overstays. People coming to Disneyland just don't go home. Well, too bad. We'll just leave them. Think about that. We're the United States of America. And again, you have to follow up and ask yourself, why would we not want to know who's overstayed? Well, because those overstays are going to work under the table. They're going to do what we want because they're non-citizens. And you can tell a non-citizen what to do. Look, I'm just reading articles, getting ready for a new Substack article I'm about to push out. And it's about the Democrats wanting the stamp for work authorization. And the reason why they want work authorization documents is because they want these people to work and provide and go into the system. However, they're not being honest. That all of these individuals, so now we have, let's say 2 million, and every month is about 50,000 more asylees coming in. Yep. So that means you're not allowing them to work for 6 months, and then it takes a year plus to get your documentation, if you even get it. So that means that I have to pay for millions of people their housing, their food, their clothes, their cell phone, on and on and on. We're talking hundreds of billions of dollars a year, and nothing changes. Nothing changes. It just gets worse every year.
The problem continues here, and then you get to the point where you're in your book where you say, "Enter the greatest president the Border Patrol could ever have wanted, Donald J. Trump."
The statistics and data speak for itself, man. You had a president. Well, let's go back. You had a president come in and sweeping. He destroys Hillary Clinton. He gets the House and the Senate. And those traitorous bastards, Paul Ryan and Mitch McConnell, stonewall him. So this is my perfect point of saying a uniparty. Are you telling me you've been, and they all, every single one of them get on the campaign trail, and we're going to close the border, and this is about American sovereignty, blah, 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 and they do nothing. In fact, they stonewalled Trump was asking for $15 billion. He had to go through the defense budget and pull out $5 billion in order. So when you think about this, we were in wars in Afghanistan, Iraq. We were in the $1 trillion mark, right? We're not even talking about the tens of thousands of lives destroyed because of people coming back with third-degree burns over their body, missing limbs. We're not talking about the 5,000 to 10,000 that were killed over there. But you can spend trillions of dollars in foreign nations, and then you're going to give me and my brothers and sisters nickels for the border while our guys are getting their heads caved in, shot at, killed, fighting, getting hurt ourselves and maimed because you bastards wouldn't fund a border wall for America? So when I look at Mitch McConnell, I want to punch him right in his face. And the same thing with Paul Ryan, that little weasel. Let me tell your audience real quick. He comes into office the same time I come in as a Border Patrol agent. He made about $20,000 more than me throughout his career, right? As a U.S. congressman. Yeah. He came in with $300,000 in assets. I came in with about maybe $20,000 if I was lucky, right? My car. Right. He leaves about the same time I leave in the Border Patrol. About the same time in service, 20 plus years. He's now worth between 10 and 15 million per his own filing. I'm worth X amount of money we're in the same retirement, and he's $15 million richer than I am. How's that possible, America? It's not. It's mathematically impossible. So he's corrupt. There's no other way to say it. Mitch McConnell, corrupt to the core. Why do we continue to allow these bastards to dictate our lives for us and keep re-electing them?
And then pay them $250,000 a month, a year for the rest of their lives after that.
Yes, and everything that America deserves. Our founding fathers said Americans will get the government they vote in, meaning whatever you decide and whatever hell you bring upon is because of you. You voted these idiots in, and they were absolutely right. But we get to Trump coming in. Trump was the greatest for the first 2 years. He was battling his own party. Yes, and then he, just by the strength of his will, basically he is a force of nature. I don't care what you like him personally or not. You got to give that man props. He went down to the Northern Triangle countries of El Salvador, Guatemala, and Honduras, and Mexico, and said, "You better get in. You better get in lockstep and shut your border down, and no more caravans coming up, no more anything, or you're not getting any foreign aid." And they laughed at him because they were used to dealing with these corrupt, impotent men. Yes. And Trump said, "Oh, really?" And he shut their foreign aid. It took less than a day and a half. And they're like, "Oh my God, this guy's for real." "Yes, sir, we'll do it." And he showed the power of America, right? Yeah. If you are the baddest man on planet Earth, and you're really a man, you're not going to go around beating people up, right? But when you get pushed, it's like a lion out in the safari. They're just laying around. Just leave me alone. I'm the king of the whole forest, of the everything. Leave me alone. But the moment you come and start picking at me, then I'm going to show you my power. I'm going to devour you, and I'm going to devastate you in front of everyone else so they understand I'm the biggest man on the planet. And that's what Trump did. America, we don't need, like, we get into this Title 42. It drives me crazy.
Yeah, I know.
Well, we got to have Title 42. No,
Yeah.
I don't. No, I don't need but I understand why Trump did it, because he was fighting his own party. He had to get obscure policy to implement outside of getting congressional approval from those traitors bastards. So, but when we talk about Title 42, I'm like, wait a minute. We're the baddest man on the planet. Why am I using some you're breaking my laws. You're destroying my sovereignty. You're bringing drugs in. Guess what? Nope. That's it. The border shut down. Go pound sand. The moment Mexico starts in with the Treaty of Guadalupe, I just look at Obrador or whoever was the president. Just shut the hell up. Mm-hmm. You're an alpha male in my world. I run everything, and you're going to listen to me, or I'm not giving you any money, and your whole corrupt, disgusting nation is going to go down the toilet. Yeah. But we don't do that. But Trump did it. Yes. But Trump did it and said, no, you're going to stand up your army or your border patrol, and you're going to make this happen. And it did. And toward the end of his term, before Biden came in, I was getting 24-hour reports, Gil, as a DPAC, and we were arresting 150 to 450 people in a 24-hour period. I'm talking in the United States, northern border, Gil, that's nothing. That's like one person crossing and being arrested in San Diego sector every day. 10, maybe. Yeah. And now we're at we're back up to 9,000 people a day being arrested and encountered, right?
I want to bring that back, the Title 42 thing, right? Because I'm always getting told, Title 42, and they are thinking of now bringing it back because they got this new election variant coming, right? And they want to try to scare the shit out of everybody to get them to vote Democrat again. But the thing about Title 42 is we were at our worst during this administration. We've been in this administration 949 days, 950 days now, and they broke the record for all-time illegal immigration in the history of the country under Title 42. So what the hell did Title 42 ever really do for us? I know that what someone that I was talking to online said, it's a wet blanket with holes in it. Because they want to make us think that Title 42 somehow was some kind of magic pill, but under Title 42 is when we hit our all-time record illegal immigration highs under this administration.
It was I'm trying to think of the best analogy. It was like playing football. Yeah, well, it kind of reminds me of like a football analogy. Like you're playing against, I don't know, Buffalo Bills during the Jim Kelly era, where he's throwing the ball and he's got 500 yards a game, and you're saying, yeah, but damn it, our run defense was good. We held them to 50 yards. Yeah. Well, we just lost by 50 because we have no defensive backs and they're just throwing bombs. Yeah, it's the same thing. Yes. The whole world's coming into America, and you're saying, well, Title 42, we're going to keep those pesky Mexicans and Hondurans out. And return to Guatemala and all that. Yeah, look at us. Yeah, we're doing Title 42. No, you idiots. You just got beat for 550 yards in the air. We lost 42-0, and you're talking about the run defense? That's the same thing with Title 42.
But JJ, we're sending back at least 100 for every 10,000 we're releasing, though.
I know. I'm passionate about this because the one thing I hate in my life, and I don't know how you feel, Gil, I hate people that lie, right? It drives me insane. But what makes me so angry is when people lie to me and they're looking at me and they're lying to me because they think I'm stupid. And they think that I'm not as intelligent as you to figure your lie out. Yeah. And I did that through my career in the Border Patrol is people, and we've all seen this, it's not just Border Patrol, it could be any other organization, is people that lied their way to the top. Manipulated, went to administrative tasking and rose up the administrative way, but ended up over top of me and my guys. And that guy literally never put a handcuff on anybody or a zip tie. And he's telling me about, well, you really should have enforcement posture like this. No, why don't you just shut up and go push some more paper and just act like your title, whatever it is, but stay away from me. But we are but that's what's happening now is we're being lied to and being told at the same time, hey, JJ, not only am I lying to you, but I just want you to know that you're a moron.
Yeah.
And you're going to have to parrot everything I say. No, I'm not.
Yeah.
No, I'm not doing it.
Just like somebody the other day was trying to got a hold of me to say, you know, can we talk about your misconception, my misconception?
Yeah. Okay.
That the border is actually wide open.
Yeah.
You know, and this was a DHS CBP employee. Are you seriously? My misconceptions of the fact that the border is closed. Now, I've also been confronted with, well, under Trump, we had all those caravans, but we know, we even have the intel of how those caravans were put together. They were put together on purpose. They were organized. Yes. They were put together by liberal Democrat organizations that wanted to disrupt the Trump presidency, the administration. Like what, 15,000 people, 20,000 people woke up one morning and all grouped together. They walked. They walked 3,000 miles, right? Yet their clothes are sparkling clean. Their phones brand new, all paid up. Their social media booming, right? And the first question I'm getting, JJ, when I'm processing these guys in San Clemente Station is, when do my benefits start? So, you know, and he effectively shut that down using, like you said,
he did.
He because of these, you know, these asshole Republicans that were stonewalling him as well. He had to take Title 42 out of nowhere and during the freaking pandemic and all that, and shut down the border, MPP, you know, all these things he did to literally shut that well went dry.
Yep. I mean, absolutely. And then, but look at it today. I mean, you just said they're going to have the campaign and election variant of COVID, but they're not going to shut it down. No, they're not. No, and they're going to it's like my last year in the Border Patrol under Biden. NGOs would come with two buses, one bus for COVID positive, one bus for COVID negative, but they were going to the same damn place, and they were just releasing them. Right? I was told I can't fly, I can't go to restaurants, I can't go to church. Yes, but these guys look, COVID at the time. Look, man, we had people in our holding facility that had full-blown AIDS, leprosy. Scabies, lice, and we're releasing them on planes with U.S. citizens. Yes, with a piece of paper, right? You need to have a passport. You need to have everything but the kitchen sink to get yourself into that airplane. But all they had to have was one little piece of paper that had their signature on it. Yeah, because the TSA was in collusion because they got pushed down through DHS. Hey, you're going to let these people on? Yeah. Can you imagine walking into San Diego International Airport and going just to fly to San Francisco and say, yeah, this piece of paper, it says my name. I wrote it in crayon. Yeah. Oh yeah, come on in. Come on in. Right? We are so vulnerable as a nation, and we are vulnerable because our government is corrupt, and our government is evil, and our government is the enemy of the people. And if you don't, I always ask this question: if you think that I'm wrong, then I want to hear your rebuttal. Tell me why you think I'm wrong. I'm ready to hear it. Don't tell me what your feelings are. I want you to rebut open borders. I want you to rebut COVID and the way they're going to implement this. I want you to rebut the election wasn't stolen. And I want you to go through all of that and tell me where I'm wrong. Well, and it'll be a very quick conversation, Gil, because they have no answer. Just for the people in the nosebleed sections, explain to me, or not to me, but explain what Trump did to shut off that valve and literally effectively hand over to the next administration one of the most secure borders we've had. And even this is by Rodney Scott standards, right? Even he said it many, many times. Tom Homan said it many, many times, right? That he literally was handed the most secure border, right? And then Mayorkas, in history, and Mayorkas is your whole next chapter, and I am salivating for that one. I've read it like 4 times over. But what did Trump do to accomplish that nobody else wanted to do? Well, that's a great question. It's the question I get asked about, well, okay, JJ, what are your solutions? And I say, okay, I have a whole chapter in my book on solutions, 11-point plan to get it done. I said, but this isn't theoretical. Like, this isn't we need to do this and maybe it'll happen. No, I'm looking at what President Trump did, and we're going to redo it, right? He was within 9 months of having the border completely secure. He only had a third of the fence built, a third. But because he had all those countries that are dire dependent on the U.S. dollar and foreign aid, they shut those caravans down. They shut everything else down. So what happened was we still had people crossing, but we had it under control where everyone that entered the border, 90 percentile was being detected and arrested. And then here's the beauty part. Then they were deported. And they were deported to, remember, we would get people from Vietnam or El Salvador or wherever, and their countries would say, no, I'm not taking it back. And then we would release them into America, hardened criminals and gang members. Well, Trump did the same thing. You're not going to take it back? No foreign aid for you. Well, okay, hold on. I'll take them back, right? So everybody we arrested was then returned to their country of origin. Everyone. And we had control. And then ICE, I remember talking to my ICE friends, and they were supervisors and just ICE agents, and their pride was off the chart because they said, dude, before I would drive down the street and talk to people and they would just laugh at me. Now they're running. They're running through the streets because everyone we're arresting is being deported. There's no relief given to anyone. So what President Trump did is he built the border wall. He was getting it finalized. Border Patrol agents were on the border doing Border Patrol work. The interior nations were told, you're going to do what I want or I'm going to destroy you financially. And they did it. And it worked. And then once he finally, in 9 months, that border wall would have been completely solidified and secured. Border Patrol agents would have been there. And then we could have gone and said, okay, let's look at the immigration policy and laws, and let's strip it of all the loopholes, all the illegal stuff put in there by lobbyists, etc. And let's clean this up. Then we can have an honest discussion in America. What do we need more legal immigrants? If that's the case, okay, let's vote on it. Let's do it. And if it is, then we just have more legal immigrants.
Right.
But here's the beauty of what Trump was doing. He was saying, America has a sovereignty. We are a nation with borders and laws, a culture and language. I'm going to allow X amount of people come in, and they are going to be beneficial to America instead of being a net negative to America. You remember what he did? If you are on welfare, you're deportable. It's in the INA, Gil. We all had to take those tests, and it stated, Gil. And here's the beauty of what it states. Yes, but people don't understand this. If I can determine not only if you're not on public charge, but I can say, where are you working? Well, I'm not working. Then I could say, you're going to be on public charge, therefore you're deportable as well. I didn't have to see you're on welfare. I could just say, no, you're indigent, you're out. And now they've taken that all away.
Yep.
Trump was doing everything that had to be done. Look, the hardest thing, President Obama said it right. Elections have consequences. We elected or stole with President Biden, who he doesn't even know if he's alive or dead. He's just a skeleton moving around.
Weekend at Bernie's.
Yeah, weekend at Bernie's. He's alive. They shoot him up with some cocktail of narcotics to keep him somewhat coherent so he can sniff and molest children. So, but look at what happened. If Trump was reelected, he would have shut the border down. It was closed, guys, closed. And now we have this catastrophe happening where we have now 12 to 15 million illegal aliens have come into the country, arrested, encountered, or absconded. You have drug overdose that are going to be triple when Trump left office, triple, 150,000 a year now. We have terrorists pouring into our nation, criminal aliens pouring into our nation. There's a reason why I put his chapter in there and describe what that man did.
Yeah.
And he was successful.
And not only that, but remember all the technology he was going to lace through the border, that wall to help us detect and deter. And like any wall, right? Because that's the left's biggest argument. Well, walls don't work. Yeah,
I love that. And whenever I'm interviewed on a podcast or a TV show by a liberal and they say that, I say, do you have a front door? Do you have a door on your house or your apartment? And they look at me like, and I go, well, I'm assuming you do because we all do. So tonight, take it off its hinges and throw it in your yard. How well are you going to sleep there, buddy?
Yeah.
How long before people are going to pour and they're going to go, oh, it's welcome time. I'm going to take everything you have. I'm going to rape your wife, destroy your family. Of course you have a door, you moron, because you have to have security and walls do work, but you have to have agents on the wall.
Exactly. So in other words, my house has walls, but if I desert my house for months, years at a time, then it makes no difference. And if the walls are unattended, they were just supposed to be a tool to help the agents be able to maintain control and security of the southern border. And it just boggles the mind. Now, you say in your book here, it says, for the first time in my 24-year career, the Border Patrol was winning. This is under Trump, 2019. Morale was off the charts. Pride throughout the ranks was back. Illegal aliens crossing the border knew that when they were arrested, they were going straight back to their homeland. Illegal aliens living in the interior of the United States knew that no relief was going to be given once arrested, and they too were going to be deported. Several countries refused to take back their countrymen who were hardened criminals. Why not? Since the past weak and corrupt administrations had bent the knee to these nations. Not Trump. Trump knew he had the power and he flexed it. He used the same tactic he used against the Central American countries and Mexico, either accede to my demands or lose all foreign aid. Suddenly, ICE had flights scheduled across the globe to deport criminal aliens who in prior presidencies would have been released into our streets to terrorize our brothers and sisters.
Yep. President Trump was the greatest border president in the history of our country, period. And one thing that you did mention on there that I want to talk about. First time in my career that I was winning. First time that I felt like, dear God, I can't believe we're winning. All the other times we were losing. We were losing all the time. I could have a great day and shift and arrest, 20, 30, 40 people and a lot of them criminal aliens and set them up for 1326. But the next day I'd go to the gym and I have to drive by Home Depot. Yeah. And I'd see 150 people stand out there, and I'd be devastated. I'd be like, "What am I doing? This makes no sense. It's not even a Band-Aid, right?"
Yep.
And then Trump comes in. This is following Obama and his disastrous, treasonous policies. And now I'm with a guy that's not only as a manager, I had the union backing him. He ran his whole campaign on securing the border. And we believed him because he wasn't a politician. And we started to see his policies come down. And the alignment between, we had the acting DHS secretary a couple times and ICE. We had Tom Homan. Then we had Mark Morgan. And then we had all our chiefs, Rodney Scott, and all the way down. And you were like, holy cow, we're aligned. We're doing this and we're winning. We're going to do it. And pride in the Border Patrol was off the chart. We were like, yes, everyone we're arresting is getting deported. People are running from us in the street. Before they would see the green and white and go, yeah, screw them. Give us the finger, right?
Yeah. Especially
in the interior. Now they were like ducking their head and running. There's pride to that because you're respecting my authority now. And I'm going to do my job. I'm going to find you. I'm going to arrest you and I'm going to deport your ass out of my country. And all that changed. All of it overnight. Overnight.
Yeah. No, I remember when my class first got to El Cajon Station, right? Class 313, we got to El Cajon Station. And after we went through our the field training unit, and then we got assigned to journeyman. I had one particular journeyman that I rode with for months and months and months. And what he used to do is he'd pick up his ride. We'd go out into El Cajon, and we would patrol El Cajon until we caught people, and then we'd go out into the field and work our area. Well, and this guy was 100% successful. He'd spot people a block down, pull up, and say, "Arrest those guys for me. I'm going to go around. I'm going to go around the block." because he was training me, teaching me too, right? You know, I had to handle people. Man, I remember when he dropped me off in front of a bunch of these gangbangers, man. And he said, find out if they're illegally here or not. I'm like, holy shit, right? So I'm getting off and I'm doing my thing, and I got my ass in my hand, and I did what I needed to do. Everything was cool. Came back around, picked me up, and they wore him down because after a while he kept getting in trouble and memos and in trouble and memos and restricted. We don't want you driving around the Home Depots and picking up bodies. We don't want you following people to their apartment complexes and grabbing them right there. We don't want you grabbing people from outside the stores and things like that. They wore him down.
Yep.
Pretty soon, JJ, it was like, you get your ride from the station, you drive straight out to the field. Do not pass go. Do not collect $200. Do not stop anywhere. Grab your food and get out to the field. But you leave the interior alone.
Yep. But why?
Why?
We got why? Well, it's because DC pushed down onto the sectors and told them no, because they were monitoring. I remember this as a young agent, thinking and going up into management, thinking, if I could take all of my energy that I'm using and fear and anxiety that I had of getting caught doing my job, if I could take all that energy of okay, how am I gonna, like, I would pull up on vehicles and do vehicle stops in the interior, and my whole thought process was not officer safety, officers. My whole process was, okay, how am I going to write this up? How am I going to articulate that I'm here?
Yeah.
Because we were look, you had the Border Patrol handbook. I'll never forget this, people. So I had a couple supervisors that were scared to death. They were scared of their own shadow, right? Just give me my pay and let me have my weekends off. And they would say, you can't do interior patrol. This is wrong. And I'm like, wait a minute. In the Border Patrol handbook, chapter 11, in bold print and bigger lettering, it says interior patrol. And underneath it says, this is a vital function to the success of the border mission. And I'm like, has anybody even read this book? Does anybody even know what our job is? Right? And there were times, and I'm sure people that are watching this, and I'm sure you feel the same way, there were some dark times in my career where I would get my keys, get my soda, and drive straight out to the field, and I would sit there on the X, and I would think, what in the hell am I doing? Why? I can't participate in this lie anymore. I can't. And the way that I got around it was I created or was given the opportunity to be on task forces or specialized units that were very, very focused, be it ATVs or the Coastal Border Enforcement Team. So everyone I arrested was I had an AUSA assigned to it, and HSI was assigned to me. So everyone that I arrested was getting some kind of law enforcement action taken against them. So I became like a racehorse. I would just put my blinders on and I would say, this is my lane. Sometimes I wouldn't even go into the station, like to the real station. I don't want to know station gossip. I don't want to know. Everyone just leave me alone. I want to do what I have to do, because I knew if I took my blinders off and I looked at the totality of it, I couldn't get through my day. It was eating me alive that our government was so maliciously corrupt, and everything we were doing was a lie. And they put us at risk every day because we are undermanned, understaffed, not enough technology, not enough equipment. Our vehicles sucked. We had holes in the bottom of our vehicles. I remember those days.
Yeah.
And I'm not talking about 50 years ago. I'm talking about 5, 10 years ago.
Yeah. I'm
talking about today, what they're doing to us today.
Yeah.
And I don't know how the agents are doing it. I just don't know. I really do.
Look, someone might be able to say, well, okay, so you've made the case here in this chapter that things have never been 100%, JJ. You know, it's always been a mess. It's always been politically a mess. It's always been a political football. We've had successes. We've had failures. We had a good run with Trump, right? So then what's the difference now then? Because I get that a lot. Like, this is no different than the crap we've been through or seen before. So what's the difference now?
And I appreciate this question, because I get that asked quite a bit. And the answer to that is everything's changed. There is nothing what happened under Clinton and Bush. In 24 years, 23 years under from not excluding Biden, the only time that we released anyone was when I was at San Clemente, and that was Interior apps, right? Under prosecutor discretion, which was against the law. But outside of that, in 23 years, I released 0 people that I arrested on the border, on the coastline, etc. 0. They've released 7 million people. 7 million people. This has never been done. So when I hear agents say, well, no, it's not normal, dude. You might have 5 years in the patrol and you think this is normal. You're so unfortunately programmed to believe that this chaos is normal. This has never been done. And then my ultimate response to that is, let's say that I'm completely wrong about everything. Are you telling me having an open border is good for America? And they never have an answer. And I say, here's the problem, because the media has done this. They conflate legal and illegal immigration as one. It must be separated. When you're having discussions with people, you need to start out like I do on podcasts. Let me be clear. I'm talking about illegal immigration. Legal immigration has been approved by Congress. There's avenues and assets for those individuals, and I'm all for it. Yep. All for it. I'm talking about the illegality of what's happening. And then they're taken aback because I've removed their number one talking point to muddy the waters. No, right. No, I agree. You and I agree. Legal immigration is great. We can have a robust discussion about the number, the type, and how. That's for another discussion. You can bring me back, and I'll be glad to argue that. But let's talk about the illegal immigration. And they have no retort to honest data. And I tell them, I'm using data from DHS, who exactly. I do not trust.
Yes, yes. Those numbers are fudged.
God. But their numbers are damning, right? The numbers that they're trying to make us believe are so numbers. Egregious. God.
Yes. Yeah. Well, here, one of the things that I point out to a lot of my own fellow agents and fellow retirees is, you're absolutely right? There's always been problems, glitches for 100 years, right? The Border Patrol has functioned with the least, doing the most with the least, and we functioned under different administrations that have set different policies, starting with, and then from Obama on the way on down, and you name it. But the thing is, like you said, by sheer numbers alone, let's just go with the numbers that DHS CBP reports, never mind the astronomical gotaways, never mind all the CBP-1 apps, never mind all the airline and all the stuff that people don't know. If you sit there and put it together, like you said months ago, we're not seeing 180 to 100,000 a month. We're seeing up to 300,000 people come in a month, one way or the other. And it might be even worse. But I
think it's between 500,000 and 600,000 a month arrested, encountered, or and absconded. Yeah.
All-time record in just the first year, they beat the all-time. They've done it 3 times already. All-time record entries, encounters, not apprehensions, because they're encounters, they're not apprehensions. All-time record gotaways, all-time record rescues, all-time record deaths, all-time record fentanyl, all-time record smuggling of children. Trafficking of children and adults for sex or labor. All-time record retirements, which is going to be even worse this coming year. People are not retirement. Like I went to mandatory. Because I loved my job even to the end, even when after the whole fiasco with the caravans, I loved my job, so I'm mandatory. But all-time record numbers, sheer numbers alone, nobody in the 100-year history of the patrol and the 200 and almost 40-year history, I think they're up there, of U.S. Customs have we seen numbers like this?
Never. And you just did perfectly. You enumerated all the ills that are happening,
and there's not more. One of them. There's so much more. Agent assaults are all-time record highs. You name it. So just to put a bookend to this, you see what I did there?
Yeah, you're amazing.
Thank you. It says we had a president who had our back, who forced countries that only a few years before were abusing our borders and had laughed at us for decades to participate in ending illegal entries. Now these same disrespectful countries stood at the ready for our demands and obeyed. The Border Patrol in America had a president who understood the urgency to secure our borders and the significance of reclaiming our great nation's sovereignty. A president who could not be corrupted by money because he had more money than the corruptors and therefore his own power. This made the elites and politicians confused, angry, and vengeful. On January 20th, 2021, it all ended. And that is going to be the precursor to chapter 4, titled very simply, Mayorkas.
I'm really excited about talking about that because I do not believe, and I've verified this with multiple people I've spoken to that are very intelligent and very informed about the border, and they have no idea who this guy is. Everyone thinks that he just showed up in 2020, 2021. He didn't. He's been around for a decade. And he's the precursor, he's the creator and implementer of everything that we have seen manifest in Biden's term. He did that back in Obama.
Well,
and it's frightening.
When we get to this one, maybe next Friday, I'll discuss with you the currently, and it's not a lot of people, it's only a handful trying to convince me that this Mayorkas is the good guy.
Well, you're always going to have, you're always going to have people within an organization that are either so ambitious they become blind, or they are so incompetent and unintelligent that they cannot critically think past the simplest thing. So you're going to have those in agencies. And you have to sniff them out, and you have to, I remember doing this as an agent, point them out. Say, this guy's not on our team. He wears our uniform. He has our badge. He's not on our team. He's part of another group. I don't even know what he does, but it's important to point them out. And you're doing great by sniffing them out and saying, no, look what this guy said. This guy's wrong. How could he be saying this?
Yeah.
So just keep fighting the good fight there, Gil.
We will be fighting the good fight. And I am so grateful to God for a fellow collaborator in the trenches, because I felt alone for a long time, doing this, saying what I say, doing what I do. And I come to realize that I am, we got their direct attention. They're monitoring my pages. They're monitoring your pages. They're trying to see who's listening, who's not listening. If they participate in any way, if they share a post or they make a comment, then they get investigated, right? So this is the most vindictive DHS CBP leadership under this administration that I've ever seen, because they're simply investigating agents for just sharing and liking stuff. And then I get reports from OFO where people, even upper management posts something, and then a few days later, they're getting served papers for what they posted, even by the people that actually liked the post. So, I mean, it's just
we don't
just
live
crazy.
we don't live in America, the one that we thought that we did.
Yeah. So let's save some of these for the next week. But JJ, as always, I appreciate your approach, your directness, your meticulousness on the facts, and really, like you said, if you think I'm wrong, show me where I'm wrong. Okay, but like you, like me, I say, and I'll say it every day, I will put my narrative up against anyone's all day, every day, all day long, and let's see where the truth comes out.
Yeah, but they won't have that. They won't have that discussion with you because they know they're wrong, right. And then they'll just call you vile names, and you just have to shrug it off your shoulder and just say, "Okay, then I guess I win."
Well, being called a skinny trinket seller, I don't know. I feel it's a little catchy.
Hey, if it sells more stuff, use it.
I'm just happy to be called skinny. That's all I care about. So. All right, my friend.
Thanks, Gil. We'll see you next week.
Keep fighting, keep working, man, and we'll continue the fight, and hopefully I'll see you next Friday for the next chapter.
All right, sounds great. Have a good week, man.
You
Bye.
too.
Thank you for listening to the Old Patrol HQ podcast. You can find JJ across social media, but go to his YouTube videos and subscribe there for all the updates and those excellent viewpoint videos as well. You can also find his book on Amazon. For more of Old Patrol HQ, you can find us on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter, and visit my website at oldpatrolhq.bigcartel.com.